So, big question. Would you like to charter a private jet? That's the question. And yeah, private jet charters going through the roof at the moment. 2022, we've had the highest percentage of delayed flights ever, which is 19%. Just the other day, 39% of the flights out of Frankfurt, Germany were delayed. Heathrow Airport in London, 24% of the flights were delayed. So there's lots of disruption going through private jet terminals. This is happening in the United States as well. And more people are deciding to fly private. In fact, things have moved. It's about 60% now private jet flights are for leisure right now and 40% for business. It was the other way around. So a lot of people are looking to, obviously, because if you're flying for leisure, you're probably flying with, wife, husband, children, maybe friends, so maybe 6, 7 of you. And so a lot of these wealthy families now, like yourself maybe, are thinking, you know what, there's 6 of us or 8 of us, let's just charter a jet. That way we know we're going to leave on time and everything. But there are dangers in renting a private jet, and you have to go about it in a certain way. Now, I know there's all these fancy apps that you can download and promise you to get you the cheapest private jet flight. But, you have to be very, very wary when something is promising you a cheap flight on a private jet, because private jets are not cheap. And if they are cheap, there's a catch. And as the old adage says, the only free cheese is in the mousetrap, and you don't want to get caught in a mousetrap at 35,000 feet, which means the airplane could crash. And bear in mind that the safety record in private aviation is 9.2 times worse than the airlines. So it means if you charter that Learjet to go from Los Angeles to Dallas, it's going to cost you 10 times more than flying with the airlines, but you got almost 10 times more chance of crashing and dying. So that's, really, really important to understand. Now, I can organize a charter for you. Now, I work on a global basis, and you're probably asking yourself, well, who is this dude or this guy or this gentleman that's saying this? Let me just tell you a bit about myself so you understand what my level of expertise is, and then you decide if, you think somebody like myself can help you. Now, I started flying at a very young age, at 15 years old, flying gliders. 17 years old, I got my pilot's license. And then I got my driver's license after that, interestingly enough. And then I got my commercial pilot's license and started flying private jets. I spent 5 years in the private jet world where not only did I fly, I managed aircraft for owners, I managed an FBO, did the marketing for this FBO in Milan, Malpensa. I did my flight training in the UK and in the US, and then some of it in Italy, and I was living in Italy at the time. That explains my name, my accent. I'm half English, half Italian. And during my time in the private jet world, I learned a lot of things besides flying the plane. I also learned about management of operations, selling flights, marketing FBO, selling aircraft. I did all this kind of stuff, which gave me a really nice rounded experience in private aviation. But I also experienced a few hairy experiences. Click on the video above about when I almost crashed a jet. That's an interesting story that you may want to tune into. And then I went on to the airlines, flew for a regional startup airline in northern Italy, flying the Dornier 328 turboprop 328 jet, and then moved over to the UK to fly the 737 for a number of different outfits from charter airline, a couple of low-cost airlines, and then I went out to the Middle East to fly 737s out there. So during my time as a pilot, I flew with over 65 different nationalities, flew with different airlines and different corporate jet outfits and private jet charter outfits and that. And it's given me an overall experience of the industry from a pilot's perspective, but also from a business perspective. And then I started selling aircraft, and part of that, I had one company called Tyrus Wings for a while with I think it was 7 years, a gentleman in the US, and we worked really well together. Sold a Boeing 777 to a high net worth individual, turned that airplane from an airliner into a business jet, and then did a number of leases and other sales on other aircraft. And now, I've got BizJet TV. I'm doing some consulting, organizing charters as well as selling aircraft, and we're also setting up a new operation, which I'll be telling you about shortly, and we're also launching a TV show. So where I can help you is because of all this expertise that I've had and I've gained, and the network that I've built over the years. I've got people in, I'm not saying every corner of the world, but, there are a number of private jet charter operators that I trust. And if you call me to do a charter, first of all, I want to get to know you. I want to get to know what your business is about, what your travel needs are, just to understand what would be the best private jet solution for you. whether charter, whether lease, whether buy, let's have this conversation. Let's do it on video. And let me understand more about you and your needs. If you're going to fly for leisure, you're going to fly for business, or both. And that gives me an idea of who you are and your taste and your expectations, etc., etc. That allows me then to go out there and find the right charter for you. Now, bear in mind, I'm not going to be the cheapest, but I will bring you a safe solution. And this is the important thing. So you'll get a personalized service, and this is what I can offer you. So I encourage you to ping me an email. We'll get on a Zoom call. Let's have a conversation. Let's see if we can get you chartering to start with. It's always a good way to start to get yourself, bring yourself into the private jet world, is to start by using a private jet, doing a few charters before you decide to either lease or buy a jet. This is why charter is going through the roof right now. A lot of wealthy people, and some wealthy people don't travel much. Maybe they travel 3 or 4 times a year. So when they do, they travel with the airlines. It doesn't really justify buying an aircraft. But more and more of these people now are chartering private jets and buying private jets, because the whole pandemic thing, they just see the need to be able to travel and control your own aircraft, be able to disinfect your airplane, just be on the airplane with people that control the pilots, the plane, keep it in a hangar next door to your house, sort of thing. There's lots of advantages in having your own airplane. It's a bit like having your own car on the driveway. You can jump in it when you want and off you go. Of course, a plane is a bit more difficult. You need a pilot to fly it unless you learn to fly yourself. And this is an interesting thing as well. There are more and more people now queuing up at flight schools wanting to learn to fly, because you have a motorbike dealership, a car dealership in Dallas, one in Houston, one in Austin, one in San Antonio, one in Oklahoma City. You may want to fly yourself to these different cities. So you want to buy yourself a small airplane, learn to fly, or buy yourself a Honda Jet, or a Phenom 100, or a Citation CJ3, or King Air, one of these airplanes, and fly yourself. And I always recommend, if you are not a professional pilot, to always have a professional pilot sit next to you and fly with you and coach you. Make sure that your level is safe, and that's really, really important. So that's really all from me on this about chartering. I hope I answered some of your questions, but let's get personal, let's get one-to-one, and that's where I encourage you to reach out to me. And if you haven't watched the video on when I almost crashed a private jet, that's an interesting one. So click on this link here on this video and have a watch. And that's all from Fabrizio Poli on BizJet TV, and I'll see you on the next one.